gentlemen, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was before a three-judge bench on Thursday, May 7, 2026. His legal team presented 11 demands to the court as his impeachment case continues. And I want us to go through what those demands are and then analyze what this case is really about. Gachagua's legal team argued that he was removed from office on unconstitutional grounds, that this is the foundation the entire petition forms. Everything else flows from it. The team wants the court to declare that the impeachment process violated Article 118, 145, 47, 50, and 10 of the Constitution of Kenya. Those are not minor provisions. Article 47 covers the right to fair administrative action. Article 50 covers the right to hold a fair hearing. Article 10 covers national values and principles of governance, include transparency, accountability, and the rule of law, while Article 118 deals with the public access and participation in parliamentary proceedings, whereas Article 145 is the specific constitutional provision governing the removal of a deputy president from his seat. They're arguing, in an essence, that virtually every constitutional safeguard that should have protected Gachagua during the impeachment process was violated. The public participation angle is central to this case. Remember, Gachagua's team want the court to declare that the public participation conducted on October 4th and 5th, 2024, the 2 days set aside before the Senate vote fell short below the threshold of meaningful public participation as required by the Constitution. They want a further declaration that the Senate itself failed on that public participation standard. This matter because public participation in Kenya's constitutional framework is not a formality. Courts have previously nullified legislative and administrative actions on the grounds that public participation was inadequate. If the bench agrees that what happened in October 2024 did not meet the constitutional threshold, then the entire impeachment process built on top of it collapses. The select committee argument is equally significant. Gachagua's team want the court to declare that the appointment of a select committee by the Senate is mandatory in the impeachment of a president or deputy president, and that proceeding outside that select committee structure was unconstitutional. They also want Standing Order 64 Clause 2 declared unconstitutional on the grounds that it imposed timelines incompatible with constitutional requirements. This is a direct challenge to the procedural architect of the impeachment that happened in 2024. Gachagua's team are saying the Senate did not just make errors, it bypassed mandatory constitutional structures entirely. If the courts agree the National Assembly resolution of October 8th, 2024, and the Senate resolution of October 17, 2024, both of which the team once quashed, have no legal fundamentals to stand on themselves. The compensation demand is where this case takes on its most consequential dimension. Gachagua's team is seeking remunerations, damages, and compensation for the losses arising from what they call an unlawful and procedural flaw removal from office. They want the court to pull a financial value on what was done to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. That demand alone signals that there is not purely a constitutional restoration case, it is also a reckoning and a public one. The case sits before Justice Eric Ogolla, Anthony Mrima, and Frida Mugambi. The bench is expected to issue direction on the pending application and hear arguments on the substantive petition. That means this case is still in its procedural stage and the final determination is not imminent. But the argument being laid before the court are already significant enough to shape Kenya's constitutional jurisprudence on impeachment, regardless of the eventual outcomes. The political backdrop to this legal battle cannot be separated from the legal argument themselves. Gachagua became the first deputy president in Kenya's history to be impeached in October 2024. Since then, he has publicly alleged that bribes were solicited in both the National Assembly and the Senate to secure votes for his removal. Those are serious allegations that have never been formally investigated or resolved. They now sit as potential context around a live court case, and they will not disappear from public consequences as the hearing proceed. Gachagua has since formed the Democracy for Citizens Party and positioned himself as a central figure in the opposition coalition building ahead of the 2027 and as a negotiator of the Mt Kenya regional bloc. His court case is therefore running in parallel with his political comeback. Every court day is a public reminder that his removal is contested. Every legal argument his team advances reinforce his central political narrative that what was done to him was not constitutional process but political execution. For the Ruto administration, this case represents a sustained legal and reputational liability. A ruling that finds even partial merit in Gachagua's constitutional argument would validate what the opposition has been saying since October 2024, that the impeachment was politically motivated removal dressed in parliamentary proceedings.